Hello students, in this video let us discuss the conformational isomerism. Okay. So here this conformational isomerism is also one type of stereoisomerism. Okay. So actually here stereoisomers are of two types. Okay. So that is configurational stereoisomers and conformational stereoisomers. Configurational stereoisomers, conformational stereoisomers. Now here this configurational stereoisomers are again classified into two types: geometrical isomers and optical isomers. Okay. Here geometrical isomers are the non-interconvertible, 2-butene and cis and trans-2-butene. These are not interconvertible. And similarly, the optical isomers CH3, that means COOH, here above the plane OH, this below the plane H. Now again CH3, this one COOH, here above the plane H, this below the plane OH. So these are also not interconvertible. These are the optical isomers. You know this one. They are the optical isomers. They are the geometrical isomers. The geometrical isomers cis-2-butene and trans-2-butene are not interconvertible. Now this optical isomers dextro and levo isomers are not interconvertible. They are the configurational stereoisomers. Now here conformational stereoisomers are interconvertible. Interconvertible means here cannot be isolated or cannot be resolved. That means we cannot separate it. Cannot be separated. Okay, cannot be separated. Okay. So cannot be resolved and cannot be separated, because these are the interconvertible. Now here we can separate the cis-2-butene and trans-2-butene, though they have a different properties. And here dextro-levo isomers also can be separated. We discussed the method of the resolution. That is nothing but diastereomeric method for the separation of the mixture of this enantiomers. Now here conformationals of the interconvertible cannot be resolved and cannot be isolated. Okay, that means cannot be separated. Now here these conformational isomers are possible due to free rotation about the carbon-carbon sigma bond. Okay, due to free rotation of the carbon-carbon sigma bond. Okay, that means in this case the stereoisomers which are rising due to free rotation of the carbon-carbon, those are called as the conformational isomers, are also called as the conformers, are also called as conformers, are also called as the rotamers, are also called as rotamers. Okay, conformational isomers are rotamers or rotational isomers. These are possible due to free rotation of the carbon-carbon bond. Free rotation of the carbon-carbon bond. For suppose you see this one, here this is the carbon-carbon bond. Okay, here for suppose this is the hydrogen, this is the hydrogen, this is the hydrogen, here a hydrogen, ethane molecule. There are different orientations possible about the free rotation of the carbon-carbon bond. Okay, different orientations are possible about the free rotation of carbon and carbon bond. Okay, yeah. First suppose this is the ethane molecule. There are 3 hydrogens. You can see here in this case there is a different orientation. This is one spatial arrangement. This hydrogen only hydrogen. Okay, that means this CH bond are in the same line. Okay, so these hydrogen atoms are in the that means are eclipsed. Okay, so now here this is one spatial arrangement. Okay, this is one spatial arrangement. Okay, so this CH bond, this is CH bond. These CH bonds are not exactly coincident like this. Okay, See here in this one. Yeah. This CH1, this CH1. Okay. So this is one spatial arrangement. Okay, one conformer. Then this is one spatial arrangement. So like this here, about the carbon-carbon bond rotation, a different spatial arrangements are possible. Those are called as a conformational isomers. Okay. So here in this case here, about the carbon-carbon free rotation, here infinite conformations are possible. Infinite conformations are possible. Okay. Now here, what is the condition to exhibit the conformational isomerism? One is a free rotation. At least 3 bonds must be present. So suppose this is H2O2. Okay. So here in this case, another conformer also possible. This one. So about the oxygen bond rotation, we can have this orientation also. This is one type of spatial arrangement of the hydrogen atoms. That means here, these two bonds like this. That means these two bonds are eclipsed exactly. That is one conformer. Now here, by rotating 180 degrees, we can get this conformer. This is hydrogen exactly opposite. This is one orientation. This is one type of spatial arrangement. So like this here, about the bond rotation, different spatial arrangements are possible. Those are the conformational isomers or conformers, rotamers or rotational isomers. Now here these isomers cannot be isolated. Okay, they cannot be separated because there is a free interconversion from one spatial arrangement to other spatial arrangement. Okay. So that is the introduction of the conformational isomer. If we first suppose here, this is a H2O2 molecule. Let's say this is a H2O2 molecule. This is a one spatial arrangement. Now here, by rotating this one, this is a one spatial arrangement. Okay. Next here, another spatial arrangement. And next here, another spatial arrangement. Okay, like this. So about this oxygen free rotation, infinite conformations are possible. But here in this topic, in this conformational isomerism, we study the specific conformations at a specific angle. Okay. So those angles are nothing but dihedral angles. The angles are nothing but dihedral angles. Dihedral angles theta. Okay. So now here, what is this dihedral angle? You see this one in this case. This is a OH bond. This is another OH bond. This is a one plane. This is a one plane. That means here regarding this OH bond, one plane. Regarding this OH bond, one plane. So the angle between these two bisecting planes is a dihedral angle. Okay. The angle between these two bisecting planes. This is the one plane and this is another plane. So the angle between these two bisecting planes is a dihedral angle. Like this here, this is the one plane and this is another plane. Like this. The angle between these two bisecting planes is a dihedral angle. Okay. Now you see, this is the one plane and this is the one plane. So the angle between these two planes is a 0 degree. Next here, 30 degrees. Okay, angle between the two bisecting planes. And next here 60 degrees. Okay, here 120 degrees. Here 180 degrees, like that. And next here 240 degrees, 300 degrees. Okay, again 360. So like this here, even infinite conformations are possible, but we study the conformation at a specific angle. At 0 degree, at 60 degree, at 120 degree, at 180 degree, at 240 degree, and at 300 degree. Okay. Now here let us study the some definition. That means here the dihedral angle is one of the basic definition in this one. The angle between two bisecting planes is the dihedral angle. Okay. And next here the point is how to represent these conformational isomers. Okay. See, So representation of the conformational isomer. Representation of conformational isomer. Okay, you see this one. Here first one is a Newman projection formula. Newman projection formula. Okay, Newman projection formula. In a Newman projection formula, here this is the way of representation. That means here this is the one carbon, circle is the one carbon. Okay, and there is a bond between the circle and this carbon. Nothing but circle is the one carbon, this point is the one carbon. Okay, now here on this circle carbon there is again 3 bonds, remaining 3 bonds. On this point carbon, here one bond, second bond, third bond. That means in this case, see for suppose, yeah. That means your way of looking is different. You see this one. This is a Newman projection actually. This is a Newman projection. Why the second carbon is denoted by the circle? Because we cannot see this second carbon. We can see only this first carbon. Okay, if you observe this molecule, like first of all ethane molecule, in this direction, okay, in this direction, we can see only front carbon, but not second carbon, that is a rare carbon. That's why that is denoted by the circle, and this is a point carbon. Okay, that is a Newman projection. That means here it is a front carbon and the circle is a rare carbon. Circle is a rare carbon. Okay, and next here another way of representation. That is Sahos projection formula. Sahos projection formula. Sahos projection formula. In this Sahos projection formula, so that molecule is writing like this. That means here, yeah, this is a bond, this is a bond, this is a bond, this is a bond, this is a bond. That means here this molecule is written in a some tilted line. Okay, this is a tilted line, some bent. Okay, that means your way of looking is different. You can see in this case, yeah, it is a Newman projection. It is a Newman projection. Now it is a Sahos projection formula. In a Sahos projection, the way of looking is different. It is a front carbon, it is a rear carbon. Okay, in this way of looking, we can see this carbon and the second carbon, rare carbon also. Okay, but here Newman projection, if you look like this, it is a Newman projection, it is a Sahos projection formula. Okay, that's it. For suppose here, write the molecular formula of this compound. You see, here like this, here hydrogen, this is a bromine, and this is C2H5, and here CHO, and this is CH3, and this one C3H7, like this. Now you see this one, this front carbon attached to the bromine, hydrogen and ethyl. So I am writing the one carbon and another carbon, the circle carbon. This front carbon is attached to the this one, hydrogen bromine, here CH2, CH2. Now here this rare carbon attached to the CHO, and next you see this one. So just here simply I am writing hydrogen. So here this is the hydrogen and this one. You see here CHO, hydrogen and methyl. Yeah, that's it. That means here first carbon, second carbon, third carbon, fourth carbon, fifth carbon. So if you question like this, what is the IUPAC name of this compound? So 3-bromo 2-methyl pentanol. Okay, 3-bromo 2-methyl pentanol. That is the IUPAC name of this compound. That means here in this case here it is a front carbon attached to the hydrogen, bromine and ethyl. It is a rare carbon attached to the CHO, methyl, hydrogen. and there is a bond between the front carbon and rear carbon. That's it. So simply write the two carbons with sigma bond. Then here give the groups ethyl, bromine, hydrogen on the front carbon. Now on the rear carbon, formaldehyde group, methyl and hydrogen. Okay, that's it. Yeah. So here conformation isomers are represented with with Newman projection formula or with Sauer's projection formula. Okay. Yeah. And next here, one more definition is eclipsed strain. Okay, eclipsed strain, or also called as Pidgeot strain, also called as Pidgeot strain, or also called as a torsional strain. Torsional strain, eclipse strain, Pidgeot strain, or torsional strain. Okay. Yeah. So this means here, for suppose, whenever that means it is a repulsion. It is repulsion between two sigma bonds, two sigma bonding electrons. That means here this is the carbon bond, this is a carbon. For suppose front carbon, this is a rear carbon. This is a one bond, this is a one bond. Now there is sigma electron density or sigma electron density. The repulsions between these sigma electrons is nothing but Pidgeot strain, torsional strain, or torsional strain. That means here this is CH bond, this is CH bond. These two bonds are eclipsed. So here this sigma electron density, this sigma electron density repel each other. That's why it is called as eclipsed strain. Because in this case here, whenever two bonds are eclipsed on each other, we can see this type of sigma bonding electron repulsion. That's why it is called as eclipsed strain, a Pidgeot strain, or torsional strain. Okay. For suppose here, if this is rotated about the 60 degrees, there is no eclipsed strain, because these bonds are not eclipsed. These bonds are not eclipsed, we can see here. Okay. So next one here, van der Waals strain. Okay, that is van der Waals strain, are also called as steric strain. Van der Waals strain are also called as steric strain. It is associated with a size of groups. It is associated with the size of the groups. That means here, see this one. This is a C here, CH3, this one CS. CH3 bulky. So these two groups are repel each other. Okay? That means for suppose here CH, here a H. This is a hydrogen smaller, less repulsion. But here for suppose you see here in this conformation, here methyl, okay, are very closer, so more repulsions. Okay, the repulsions between the alkyl groups is a steric strain or van der Waals strain. The repulsion between the sigma electrons, that is a Pidgeot strain, torsional strain. Okay, no? The repulsions between the alkyl groups, that is a van der Waals strain. The repulsion between the sigma electrons, that is a Pidgeot strain or torsional strain. You see, it is a methyl, these two are closer. We can see there is a steric strain. For suppose it is rotated like this, 60 degrees. So no, some repulsions are minimized. Now rotating 180 degrees, this methyl are exactly opposite. So no steric strain. Okay. So steric strain, eclipse strain, and dihedral angle, and then Newman projection, Sauer's projection. Okay. They are the basic definitions of the conformational isomers. Okay. Now next let us study the conformations of the ethane and butane. Okay. Yeah. So next let us write the conformations of the butane. Okay. So here see this one. CH3, your hydrogen, this hydrogen. So hydrogen, this hydrogen here, CH3. Okay? So here in this case, about the second bond and third bond, we will study the different conformations. Okay? That means you see this one. Yeah. This one is a methyl. Here are hydrogen and the hydrogen. And red carbon also methyl and hydrogen. This one hydrogen. Okay? Yeah. Now this is a CCH3 plane and rare one CCH3 plane. That means the angle between these two bisecting planes is 0. So that means here theta is 0 degree, that is a dihedral angle, and this conformation is called as an eclipsed conformation. Okay, eclipsed conformation. Now here, rotate the circle carbon 60 degrees. That means your rare carbon is rotated. Rare carbon is rotated about the 60. Okay, here theta is 60 degrees and this is called as a gauge conformation. Okay, gauge conformation. Now here rotating another 60. Okay, another 60. So again we will get the eclipsed conformation. See this one, CH3 and hydrogen. This is a okay. This is a theta 120 degrees. That means here it is a CCH3 plane and about the rare carbon CCH3 plane. The angle between these two bisecting planes is a 120. Okay. So this is also called as an eclipsed conformation. But here there is some difference between these two. Here methyl are eclipsed, hydrogen eclipsed. But here methyl hydrogen are eclipsed. So different groups are eclipsed. So it is a fully eclipsed. Methyl are eclipsed. Here methyl hydrogen. So partially eclipsed. Partially eclipsed. Next here rotating another 60. Rotating another 60. CH3 here hydrogen. And exactly methyl opposite. So here dihedral angle is 180 degrees and this is called as a anti-conformation or staggered conformation. Staggered, S-T-A-G-G-E-R-E-D, staggered conformation. Now next here, rotating 60 degrees. CH3, here hydrogen, this one. Next here, this one, CH3. So hydrogen, this is the hydrogen. This theta is 240 degrees. Okay, that means here see CH3 plane. Yeah. So theta 240 degrees. You see this one here, CCH3 plane, this CCH3 plane, like this. Okay. So here, the angle between these two bisecting planes 120. Okay. Okay. See this one. Here dihedral angle is 240. That means here this you can say 240 degrees or here in this case minus 120 degrees. Okay. In opposite direction minus 120. But dihedral angle is a 240, generally we are saying. So again it is a partially eclipsed conformation. Partially eclipsed conformation. Now here see this one, rotating another 60 degrees, rotating another 60, H, this one CH3. So here CH3, this is a hydrogen, this is a hydrogen. Okay. That means here this is again a gauge conformation, theta 300 degrees plus 300 or we can say minus 60. Okay. So it is a CCH3 plane, here CCH3 plane in this direction 300 or in this direction minus 60. So it is a again gauge conformation. Okay, gauge conformation. Now you see this one. Among these different conformations, of course infinite conformations are possible, but we are studying at a specific angle. Okay. Now here, which conformation is more stable? Here, the stability of this conformation, see this one. Okay, stability order of this conformation. First here, anti-conformation more stable. Because here bulky groups are exactly opposite anti-conformation. And next here, gauge conformation. Gauge conformation. Here in this case, methyl are adjacent, there are some repulsion. Okay, and next here, partially eclipsed and fully eclipsed. Why these eclipsed conformations are less stable? You see this one, this is the methyl bulky, this is the methyl bulky, so more repulsion. So there is a steric strain, and as well as this carbon-carbon bond, the carbon-carbon sigma electrons, this carbon-hydrogen sigma electrons repel each other. That means there is a Pigget strain. Pigget strain is there, and there is a van der Waals strain. Now here again partial eclipsed conformation, this methyl and hydrogen, methyl is a bulkier and hydrogen is a smaller. So when compared with this one, here less van der Waals strain. Okay, less van der Waals strain. But there is a eclipse strain because the sigma electrons repel each other. Sigma electrons repel each other. So here in this case, some extent less van der Waals strain, but there is a Pigget strain. Here there is a Pigget strain. And there is a severe van der Waals repulsion. That's why a fully eclipsed conformation less stable than the partially eclipsed conformation. In a gauge conformation, in the anti-conformation, no Pigget strain. Okay? That Pigget strain or eclipse strain is only observed in a eclipsed conformation. Okay? And here, when compared with gauge conformation and anti-conformation, in those two conformations, there is no Pigget strain. But here, there is no van der Waals strain, but there is a slight van der Waals strain. Okay? That's it. So, your anti-conformation, gauge conformation, partial eclipse and fully eclipse. Okay, that's it. That is stability order. Now here we can give the graphical representation. Your energy, your dihedral angle 0 and 60, your 120, 180, 240 and 300, 360. That's it. At 0 degree fully eclipsed, higher energy. Gauge conformation, some more stable. At 120 degrees partially eclipsed. At 180 degrees very stable, at 240 degrees partial gauge conformation, 300 partial eclipse and 360 full eclipse. So this is the graphical representation. Okay, graphical representation. It is a fully eclipsed conformation at 0, at 60 gauge, partial eclipse conformation. This is the anti-conformation. Here partial eclipse. This is a gauge conformation. It is a fully eclipsed conformation. Okay, graphical representation of the conformations of the butane. Okay, that's it. So here, in explanation of the stability of these conformations, we have to consider the steric strain and Pigget strain. Nothing but eclipsed strain. Next here, see this one. Here 1,2-dichloroethane, 1,2-dibromoethane. For these molecules, again here, anti-conformation more stable than the gauge conformation. And then here, partially eclipsed conformation and fully eclipsed conformation. So because in this case, again you can see here, you can take chlorine, chlorine. This is the chlorine and this is the chlorine. You see this one, it is the chlorine and this is the chlorine. Here this is Cl and this is a Cl. Again here in this case, chlorine and hydrogen repel each other. Here chlorine slight repulsions. Here chlorine opposites, no repulsions. Okay. Okay. So here Cl repel each other. So there is a that means a very close distance between these two chlorines. Okay. So here more repulsions. So that's why your fully eclipsed conformation is less stable. Okay, for 1,2-dichloroethane and 1,2-dibromoethane. Okay, that's it. And next, there are different molecules. For those molecules, gauge conformation is more stable. Okay, those are the ethylene glycol, CH2OH, or 2-fluoroethanol, or amino alcohol, or CH2F, CH2NH2. Okay? Or next, let's see this one. CH2OH and CH2OH. And here CH2C double bond, OH and CH2OH. For all these compounds, your Gauch conformation is more stable than the anti, partial eclipsed and fully eclipsed. Okay? Here in this case, Gauch conformation is stable. Here, due to intramolecular hydrogen bonding. Okay, so what is this intramolecular hydrogen bonding? Let's see this one. Yeah. For ethylene glycol, hydrogen, this is the OH, this is the OH. It is stabilized by the intramolecular hydrogen bond. Okay? The partial negative charge, here partial positive charge, attracted each other, so more stabilization. And similarly, for second compound, here OH, this is the fluorine, hydrogen, this is the hydrogen. Here intramolecular hydrogen bond. Here OH on the first carbon, fluorine on the second carbon. Okay? And similarly for this compound also. For suppose see this one. Here a hydrogen, C double bond, okay, C double bond, here OH, this one OH, hydrogen, this is the hydrogen. So there is intramolecular hydrogen bond. In this hydroxy acid and hydroxy aldehyde, we can see the intramolecular hydrogen bond. Now here another compound, that is CH2NH3 plus and CH2COO minus. It is also stabilized. That means it is also stable in Gauch form, but it is not due to hydrogen bonding, it is due to electrostatic force of attraction. Here NH3 plus, here CO minus. It is stable due to electrostatic force of attraction. Okay? So there are some exceptions. Next, let's see the conformations of ethane. Okay, let's see this one. About the carbon-carbon free rotation. Here theta is 0 degree eclipsed conformation. Okay, now here theta 60 degree. For suppose here H1, H2. Okay, here theta 60. This is the Gauch conformation. Now again rotating here theta 120 degrees. Here theta 180 degrees. Okay, rotating 60 in a 60, here 60 degrees. But you can see here there is no difference between these two actually, and there is no difference between these two. So that means here at 180 degrees and at 60 degrees same conformation. So that's why here you can say in this ethane molecule, this conformation is called as the Gauch or staggered. Gauch or staggered. That means only two different conformations. Okay, eclipsed and Gauch or staggered. Okay, now here which is more stable? This is the most stable because here hydrogen closer and there is a eclipsed strain with just sign. So Gauch conformation nothing but staggered conformation more stable. Staggered conformation more stable. And here than this one, you see eclipsed conformation is very less stable. Now between these two, for suppose here, between these 0 to 60 degrees, some conformations are possible. Those conformations are called as skew conformations. Those conformations are called as skew conformations. The conformation is possible between 0 and 60 degrees. That means here 5 degrees, 10 degrees, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, like this. So that is skew conformation. The skew conformations are more stable when compared with the eclipsed conformation. Because by rotating the molecule, that means here 5 degrees, 10 degrees, that spheric strain decreases because there is a distance increases between the hydrogen. Okay, that's it. Now here, the energy difference between this eclectic conformation and staggered conformation is 11.5 kilojoules per mole, the energy difference. Okay, that means here nearly 12 kilojoules per mole. Okay, that is the energy difference. Now here we can write the conformations like this. Here, Sahor's projection formula. Ethane, hydrogen, here hydrogen, this is a hydrogen, this is a hydrogen. Okay, it is a eclectic conformation. Now rotating 60 degrees. You see here a hydrogen, this is a hydrogen. Rotating 60 degrees, here a hydrogen, this is a hydrogen, and this is a hydrogen. Okay, Sahor's projection formula. Okay, we can write the Sahor's projection formula for butane also. Okay, so that is about the conformational isomerism of the ethane, butane, and ethane derivatives. Okay, and next here the one more important point is see this one. For suppose 1,2-dichloroethane, 1,2-dichloroethane. For this 1,2-dichloroethane, dipole moment not equals to 0. See this one. The mostly these molecules are stable in a gauge conformation and Yanti conformation, but least stable in a fully eclectic conformation and partially eclectic conformation. So the most stable conformations are the anti-conformation and gauge conformation. If the molecule exists only in anti-conformation, the dipole moment must be 0 for this molecule. Because here bond moments are exactly opposite, so cancel each other. Okay, cancel each other. If the molecule exists only in anti-conformation, dipole moment must be 0. But here dipole moment is not equal to 0. It means this also exists in a gauge conformation. For this gauge conformation, these bond moments are not exactly in opposite direction. So the bond moments of these two bonds are not cancel each other. So it has some significant dipole moment. That is due to gauge conformation. Now here this molecule exists in a gauge conformation and anti-conformation mostly. So now here in this case the total dipole moment equals to dipole moment of gauge conformation and mole fraction of gauge conformation. And next dipole moment of anti-conformation, mole fraction of the anti-conformation. Right. Okay. Yeah. Of course here in this case the dipole moment of anti-conformation 0. Okay. So this one becomes totally 0. But if you know the total dipole moment and dipole moment of this one, so we can calculate the mole fraction of the gauge conformation, because this one becomes 0 totally. Okay. So and then here mole fraction of gauge conformation and the anti-conformation totally equals to 1. Okay, equals to 1. By using these formulas, we can calculate the mole fraction of the A. I think it is a previous one question. Okay. So total dipole moment is given and dipole moment of gauge conformation is given. And here the question is what are the mole fractions of the gauge and anti-conformations. Okay. Now this one becomes 0. This one is a known value, this one is a known value. We can calculate the mole fraction of the gauge conformation. Then by using this one, we can calculate the mole fraction of the anti-conformation. Okay.